Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Tony of Comic Conversations, the podcast that reviews more comics than anybody else. You can check out my show at halfguarded.com. On today's show, I'm covering the first half of Batman Under the Hood. The following takes place between Batman issue 635 through 641. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go straight into our story. Batman 635, Part 1, Red Death. We open the book and we see David Tipper Coat. He lived on the streets for almost 14 months. He ran away from an abusive environment. He was thick-skinned and life on the streets only made him tougher. He's seen just about everything. Drug use, beatings, sex, yes, and even a few deaths. There's very little that would surprise him at this point. Shame, because he would actually be surprised if he'd only look up. Batman fights the criminal Red Hood. Red Hood's a chatty guy. He's hoping to catch Batman off his guard. Red Hood's an efficient fighter. He knows his opponent pretty well. Well enough to know what kind of knife to use to cut through Batman's utility belt and body armor. Batman throws Red Hood off the building. Batman follows him down to the pavement, kicking him on the way down. Batman yells, "This is over." Red Hood responds, "No, not really." He rips off Batman's cowl. Red Hood gets a good look at Bruce and says, "Look at you. I guess we should keep it even." As he takes his helmet off, Bruce is shocked and can't believe who it is. 5 weeks ago at Wayne Manor, Batman is reminded of Barbara Gordon and the recent death of Stephanie Brown. Alfred tells Bruce that Lucius Fox is there to see him. Bruce tells Alfred to get rid of him. Alfred's tried and he's not taking no for an answer. Bruce tells Alfred to tell him he hasn't seen him. He's with his Russian tennis player girlfriend. Alfred says he's already tracked her down and apparently she's in Miami with her hockey player boyfriend. Fox is in the foyer and isn't leaving until he speaks to Bruce. Bruce meets with Fox and tells him, "How did this happen?" Lucius replies, "They had lots of money and wouldn't take no for an answer." The German company in question has bought scores of small stockholders. As of 10 hours ago, Cord/Wayne Industries Research and Development Branch were a target of a hostile takeover, and Bruce Wayne has been removed from the board of directors. Wayne Industries' R&D division has been completely wiped out. Alfred reassures Bruce that he has plenty of toys to hold him over until he can find a way to fix the problem. Batman is worried that his tech will fall into the hands of psychopaths, rogue governments, mercenaries, or even terrorists. We then see the crime bosses of Gotham gathered around a table. They're talking business, namely whether or not to throw in with Black Mask. They tried to figure out who amongst them called this meeting. It was the Red Hood. He offers them a deal. They'll continue doing business as usual, but instead of paying Black Mask, they'll be paying him. In return, he'll provide them protections from Black Mask and Batman. His only stipulation? No selling to kids and staying away from schools. They call his bluff, asking why would they listen to him. He provides a duffel bag full of the heads of their lieutenants. He did it all in 2 hours. Imagine what he could do with an evening, he tells them. Lastly, he makes himself clear. He's not asking. He's telling. The heads are more than happy to do business with him. 40% is a better deal than Black Mask was giving them anyway. Also, not dying is pretty great. Cut to Gotham's meatpacking district. Black Mask has heard that someone is making a move on the drug trade. Black Mask dismisses the news, but his advisor tells them where there's smoke, there's fire. Black Mask tells him to let the guy have his fun with the corners for a while, and to later either offer to bring him aboard or kill him. He's not too picky. He prefers to burn down a house as opposed to trying to root out a couple of rats. Black Mask is in the meatpacking district for a very specific reason: recruitment. He's there to offer a job, but to who? Mr. Freeze. He likes the money but asks about the body count and tells Black Mask he's going to need something to wear. End of issue 635, Part 1. Part 2, Batman 636, The King of Gotham City. As Batman goes looking for information, he's reminded yet again how he no longer has Barbara Gordon, Oracle, when Nightwing meets him on a rooftop. Nightwing is alarmed as the discussion of weather immediately goes to crime fighting. Batman asks if he's there to check up on him. Grayson says no. He's merely staying close to home until his leg is done healing. The Hangover Tower. Mr. Freeze is being fitted with a new and improved lightweight suit and armor. Black Mask's advisor is none too pleased about having Freeze on board, but Mask assures him he'd rather have Freeze blasting out the tent as opposed to in. His advisor has information on the new kid on the block. His name is Red Hood. Cut to the docks. An armed-to-the-tooth platoon is guarding a shipment. Batman and Nightwing make quick work of them. The word was something big was coming in. As the two slap the goons around, Batman is reminded of when they were younger. It was a simpler time. He misses it. It's because of this it's hard having Dick around. Nightwing points out they were dressed for a small war. Batman recognizes their gear. They're DEO, stolen 3 weeks ago. Heavy arms, someone must value the cargo. The crate is full of Captain Boomerang's boomerangs. Freeze's guns, and Joker bombs. Nightwing tries to figure out why anyone would want them. As a novelty? A collector? It's then that he finds out that the crate has been wired to blow. They barely make it out of the boat in time. They see someone on a rooftop with a detonator. They make chase. Batman makes note of his speed. He's been trained well, he thinks to himself. He can't help but feel something familiar about his motions. As Batman tries to throw a line to catch him, the Red Hood cuts the line before it has a chance to get taught. He's either really good or really lucky. Chances are he's not very lucky. Dick is impressed, but Batman makes note it's nothing they haven't seen before or done. It's obvious now the Red Hood wasn't running away, but rather toward something. What that something was the reason for the heavy security. It's Amazo, an android with all the powers of the Justice League. End of Part 2, Issue 636. Part 3, Batman 637, Amazo Attacks. Book opens up with Black Mask and Mr. Freeze discussing the nature of their business relationship. Freeze doesn't want to work for Mask, and Mask agrees. He thinks of them more as business partners. Freeze tells him not to patronize him. As one of Black Mask's men speaks up, Victor immediately freezes him. He's frozen solid. With the freezing process now complete, the room temperature causes his face to shatter. Black Mask is more concerned about a particular shipment. He has yet to receive confirmation about the shipment's arrival. Black Mask says there's some awfully important cargo that he would prefer not go missing. Before Nightwing can even react, Batman is already on the attack. Even after all these years, Dick is still impressed. Batman goes for Amazo's legs. He's attached an exploding batarang to his leg. The two crime fighters run for their lives. Even though Amazo has flash of speed, it won't do him any good if he has a badly damaged leg that cannot support his massive weight. This Amazo is an older model. There are no signs of Plastic Man, a Green Lantern ring, or a golden lasso on him. Amazo grabs Nightwing. Batman has to remind Dick that Ivo was created with a human model in mind. His weaknesses are no different than the humans. As Amazo goes flying through the air with Dick in hand, Nightwing stabs him in the ears, damaging his equilibrium. Amazo goes crashing to the ground. Amazo still isn't done yet. Dick was reminded that Bruce's silence is something he never got used to, which is why he probably liked talking so much as a kid. As Robin, on the other hand, he never told him to be quiet either. Nightwing mocks Amazo for only being able to play cover tunes with heroes' powers. Maybe Batman didn't shut him up because it was a great distraction. As Dick trash talks Amazo, Batman sneaks up behind and blinds Amazo with plastic explosives. The foolish Amazo activates his heat vision to remove the putty, but only blows up parts of his face. Out of options, Batman activates the autopilot on the Batmobile. The car launches a rocket at Amazo. The rocket blows the android away into the ocean only to explode once in the water. Dick asks Batman if he thinks that took him out. If not, he'd be swimming at them at 80 knots under Aquaman's abilities. Batman and Nightwing go to investigate to confirm the android's destruction. The news of Amazo's destruction make their way back to Black Mask. He arrived on time, but someone blew up the shipment and activated Amazo. Black Mask has got Red Hood on the line. Hood says he's got something that belongs to him. Black Mask asks him which crate. He tells him the crate filled with over 100 pounds of kryptonite. Black Mask says, yeah, I'm gonna need that. End of Part 3, Issue 637. Part 4, Batman 638, Bidding War. Batman is using the radiation of the kryptonite to track the crate. Black Mask tries to negotiate with Red Hood, offers 1, not to kill him, 2, not to kill him, and 3, he can have a job and work for him. Red Hood said he doesn't want a job. He wants money. Exactly $50 million. Black Mask asks him if he's trying to budget a movie. Black Mask's assistant says, liquid? 50? Is he insane? No, the insane ones would make a suit of rock and march into Metropolis and play King of the Mountain. This one knows what he's doing. Black Mask says he doesn't have that kind of money lying around. Red Hood says to do a wire transfer. That kind of traffic would send too many red flags flying. He offers him $4 million cash and a transfer of 10. Red Hood says he's sure he can get buyers to meet him at his price, and Black Mask responds, I'm sure there are hippos who can paint houses, but I haven't seen one. Red Hood agrees to the terms. Lee says he can't be serious. Black Mask says, will you shut the hell up? I swear to God, it's like trying to run a criminal organization with my mother. Black Mask asks Mr. Freeze to go make the delivery. He agrees to kill him and get the kryptonite. Black Mask responds, what a lovely day. I woke up in such a great mood. Mr. Freeze and Mask's men show up to the agreed location. Red Hood is surprised to see Freeze. Red Hood says it's cute that they're actually going through all the motions and asks if it's a top layer of money with Chinese newspaper underneath. Freeze corrects him. It's 6 inches of the Gotham Guardian. The two sides shoot it out. Railguns pop out of the crates. Freeze is immune to all the gunfire and explosives. Batman and Nightwing show up. They pair off. Batman to Freeze and Nightwing to Red Hood. Nightwing says he'll be taking the kryptonite off his hands. Hood says he can have it. He got what he wanted. The lay of the land. Freeze makes his escape with a stream of ice shooting up, and Hood sneaks out thanks to his railguns. Hood then heads to a carnival. Reunions are a funny thing, this one in particular. It's Joker. Joker tells him to identify himself or he'll kill him. He asks if he thinks he's kidding. Hood responds, "No, I'd never think that." End of Part 4, Issue 638. Part 5, Batman 639, Grave Consequences. A couple of black masked men sit in a moving truck. They're carrying $250,000 worth of taser rifles. The men are admittedly shaken. 5 delivery trucks have been hit in the last 2 weeks. They rest easy knowing that their delivery was last minute and there's no way anyone could have possibly known about their shipment. The truck explodes. Red Hood strikes again. Black Mask sends some of his best men, Jacob and Ryan, just to investigate the wreckage, and even they go missing. Red Hood started with low drug trade, then kryptonite. Now he's not even stealing, he's destroying goods. Elsewhere, Batman meets up with Zatanna. They investigate one of the remaining Lazarus pits. It appears to still be sealed, as though it hasn't been tampered with physically or magically for years. The Lazarus pit cannot raise the dead, it only rejuvenates the living. Batman then speaks to Jason Blood. He says there's many ways to raise the dead, although none of them are particularly any good. The easiest way, obviously, is with zombies, but they don't live well, says Blood. There are better ways, though, but they require meticulous planning, years of practice, and years to execute. And in just most scenarios requires the dead to only recently become deceased, but there are exceptions like Green Arrow. As a couple of drug dealers lament the difficult position they are now in because of Red Hood and Black Mask's war, they are met by Onyx, former assassin turned hero, the only other crime fighter that Batman will allow in Gotham besides Catwoman. She makes quick work of them and makes one of them talk. She wants to know who they're working for. After some persuasion, he breaks and tells them that they're working for the Red Hood. Batman goes to Star City to question Green Arrow. Green Arrow was dead and then came back. Green Arrow tells Batman he died, went to a heaven of sorts. Hal gave his gift to him, and then his decision to return. Batman asked before his death if he was involved in any aspect of the occult. Green Arrow was blown up in a plane. How do you prepare for something like that? Arrow asks why he's asking all these questions. Batman won't tell him why. Onyx is again eavesdropping on some local drug dealers. They too are having a hard time with Red Hood. He's not even going after the big shots anymore. He's going after the low-level guys too, decapitating them even. They say if Black Mask isn't going to kill them, they will. It's then that Red Hood sneaks up on Onyx and tells her that they were selling drugs to 12-year-olds. It's then that Red Hood sneaks up on Onyx, telling her that they were selling drugs to 12-year-olds. End of Part 5, Issue 639. Part 6, Batman 640, Old Friends? As Red Hood and Onyx spy on the gangsters, Red Hood can't help but love being the enemy of all the bad guys. Cut to an office with a couple of thugs installing a virus into a mainframe, stating after the take they'll have nothing left. As they pull out their weapons and begin to wreck up the joint, the one swinging a bat notices it's suddenly no longer in his hands. Batman has stolen it and knocked out one of the thugs. Another is smashing computers with his rifle's butt, but Batman knocks him out as well. It's then that the remaining thug has pulled a gun on Batman. As he points the gun, he immediately passes out. Batman says he had him. It's Superman. He says he never doubted him. Superman feels bad about Batman having to break up a burglary while visiting Metropolis. Superman tells him he should have called ahead of time. He could have got them theater tickets. Batman's here to talk. Red Hood points out all the gangsters to Onyx. One runs traffic, the other distribution, and the last one is a pimp turned kiddie porn ringmaster and narcotics lover. A real group of winners. Red Hood then throws a smoke grenade from the rafters where he and Onyx were spying on the thugs. Red Hood and later Onyx get the drop on them, and thanks to the smoke bomb and the element of surprise. Batman wants to know more about when Superman died. Superman says, "You were there." Superman says it's not complicated. He was in a state that mere death, but Batman points out maybe it's not that simple. Maybe he just died and came back to life for no reason. Superman asks him why the obsession. He's seen it before with Metamorpho, Green Arrow, and Hal Jordan. Superman asks him again, what is this all about? Batman responds, he doesn't exactly know. Red Hood and Onyx are again fighting the thugs in their hideout. Red Hood may have underestimated how many of them there were, but he doesn't care. He's righting wrongs. Being outnumbered, the two flee the warehouse, but as they leave, Hood finds a minigun in a crate. Onyx asks him what he's going to do with that gun. Hood responds, pointing the gun at her. Did you think that we were going to rough them up and teach them a lesson, he says. They're thugs that beat and rape people. Fear isn't always the answer. Onyx threatens to not let Hood back into the warehouse, but she's not really in a position to stop him. He quickly stabs her, pinning her against a crate with a knife. End of Part 6, Issue 640. Part 7, Batman 641, It's Overtime. Hood offers to take out the knife if she'll run away, or he can slash her from shoulder to hip. He even goes as far as to offer to let her fight alongside him. Just kidding, he says. He never understands why guys say stuff like that. Seems like such a wuss move, he says. If you want a partner, go find one and put him on the payroll anyway. He pulls the knife and he treats the wound, but Onyx is in no position to fight or to make chase. Hood didn't realize she already had a bad shoulder. It's then that Batman is able to sneak up on Red Hood. He must have not hurt the Batplane. That shouldn't surprise him, though. He knows of the plane's two modes. Stealth, beyond silent. It absorbs the natural sounds of the environment. The plane can also go loud when he wants it to. He's had the engines altered, so they can run course hard. It sounds like hell itself is dropping out of the sky. As Hood lunges towards Batman, Batman lassos Hood's legs. Hood says he's not the only one with toys as he sends an electric current up Batman's line. But Batman is shocked that Hood has some of his toys. Hood asks what he's done wrong. Batman says murder. Hood says he's killed but he hasn't murdered. Batman says no more blood. We find ourselves back at our opening scene. Batman's cowl torn off and Red Hood removing his helmet. Batman is face to face with none other than Jason Todd. Batman can't believe his eyes. Won't believe them. It must be Clayface using Jason's face, but Jason confirms, "You know my fighting style. You know it's me." Batman asks how. Jason responds, it doesn't really matter. Jason gives Batman his fingerprints and a blood sample to prove it's him. Bruce says it won't make him believe. But Jason says he's a creature of logic and science. He'll have to believe it. He tells Bruce it doesn't matter if he's a ghost, zombie, or clone. It's not about what he is. It's about what he'll be. Him. The version of Bruce that he was supposed to be. He could have saved the world a lot of grief had he only killed Joker. It only makes sense to kill him, Jason says. Jason will be the one that brings peace to Gotham. Bruce says no, he won't. Jason replies, the saddest part is you really believe that, as he pushes a button on a trigger, exploding his removed helmet. Batman has run all the tests. It confirms it's Jason. Alfred says he can't actually believe those tests, as Batman looks at the display of the Robin costume. Alfred offers to get rid of the costume, and Bruce replies, no, this doesn't change anything. This doesn't change anything at all. End of Part 7, Issue 641. Thanks again for checking out my video. And don't be a stranger to check out my podcast, Comic Conversations, the podcast that reviews more comics than anybody else at halfguarded.com. Thanks again, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, check you guys out next time. Adios!